So today I want to answer the question, how long should you spend on that audition?
Every moment is a teachable moment.
I get a lot of questions from students about auditions, and a lot of times they'll talk to me about how much time they spend on auditions. I feel that my students are spending a whole lot of time on the auditions doing retakes and doing take 1, take 2, take 20, take 30 until they figure out or they can hear something that they're happy with. And I think that if you're going past 3 takes, you might be going a little bit too far. It might be taking you a little bit too long to do that audition. In terms of time, I think that one of the most important things that you can do for your audition is do a little bit of homework first. Before you run into the studio and open up your mouth, I want you to really go over that script. Take a look at the script, obviously look at the casting specs, look at what they're what they're looking for. If there's a company name or a product name, the best thing you can do just really quickly, it'll take you just a few minutes, is to Google it, right? And gain Google. So I want you to Google the company, Google the product, go to the website, get a quick idea as to who the company is, what their mission is, what they're all about, what industries they serve, and if they're talking about a specific product, what does that product do? Who is the intended audience for that product? So if you can do that amount of research, it's going to give you a really good indication as to who you are as a representative of that company speaking to in terms of the product and what that product can do for the potential client, or what that product can how that product can benefit the person who buys that product. Now, if it happens to be an audition that is, let's say, maybe not a commercial or a corporate narration, but it might be a character script. It might be for a video game or an animation. So again, one of those things would be to do some of your homework first before you run into the studio and spend all that time just, spewing words out of your mouth into the microphone multiple times until you hear what you think they want to hear. Do the research, create a backstory, understand what your moment is, like who you are, who you're talking to, create a scene, create a storyline, because again, we are storytellers. And so no matter if we're doing a commercial or a corporate narration, even medical narration, animation, video script, we have to understand the story that we're telling. And we also have to understand who we're talking to. Because a lot of times when we go into that studio and we're all by ourselves, we're not really physically with another person. We need to create the scene where we really are with another person and engaging and interacting. Spend your time analyzing that script, understanding who you're talking to, creating empathy toward the person that you're speaking to. And empathy doesn't mean sympathy. Empathy means understanding who is listening, what are their pains, joys, frustrations, and sorrows, and how are you engaging and relating with those in your voiceover. Spend the time doing the research there, using Google to your advantage, creating a story, creating a scene, creating a backstory for a character, then go in your studio. And I would say, don't get obsessed over how good it sounds, or if you think it sounds like the director is expecting it to sound like. Just be in the story and tell the story. And I know that sounds a whole lot easier than it is, but I think if you do your homework prior to getting in the studio, I think you're going to have a much better understanding. And I think that the words and your acting will come out more naturally. So how much time should you spend? Well, I don't think you should spend a half an hour, but I think a good 5 minutes to 10 minutes doing the research and thinking of a scene, creating a backstory. Sometimes if it's even more extensive than that, maybe 15 minutes. But when you're actually in the studio voicing, I'd say don't do more than 3 takes of it, because once you start doing more than that, you might get yourself into a vocal rut, or you might get yourself into to a point where you really can't even hear what you're saying anymore, and you really get yourself out of the story. If you'd like to see more performance tips, check out my videos over here. Thanks so much, guys. Have a great week. I'll see you next week.